Hey everybody, Dr. Chris Dost here. Welcome to the second part of my series on segolates in Biblical Hebrew and Aramaic. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to like and subscribe. And be sure to check out my Patreon channel where all of my YouTube videos are available in their unabridged form. All right, let's get started. In the last video, we went through Juan and Muraoka's definition of segolate nouns, and it says in section 96, included in this category of inflection are all the nouns with one primitive short vowel, namely the nouns from strong roots or weaks, which have taken an auxiliary vowel, a helping vowel, usually segol, not always, but usually segol, hence the designation segolate nouns. And this occurs between radical 2 and radical 3, or you might say root consonant 2 and root consonant 3. But included in what we call segolate nouns are some which have no auxiliary vowel. Again, drawing from section 96, we see that there are various types of paradigms, and I said that for now in this series we're dealing with types 1 through 3, as these are the most foundational. And so we began to look at the qatl, the qatl form, from which melech is derived, the Hebrew word for king. And in this video we're going to continue with that. So last time we looked at the Hebrew evidence for the qatl, the qatl pattern, and we said that the form melech, meaning a king, that's the masculine singular absolute form, that the construct form, the masculine singular construct form, which is identical, meaning king of, and the definite form, masculine singular defined, hamelech, they show no indication of belonging to a paradigm qatl. And remember, the q, the t, and the l, respectively, are the first, second, and third root consonants. Think of them as dummy consonants. And so by calling this a qatl pattern, what we're saying is that a short a vowel in the primitive form of the word, etymologically you might say, existed between the first and second consonants of the root. So in other words, melech, according to this analysis, used to be malchA. Now we see no evidence of that whatsoever from the three forms in front of us. But when we go over to the plural, we notice that melech becomes melachim. This is actually a really complicated form, and I'm not going to deal with the plural form melachim for quite some time. But for the time being, just note that the segol, both of the segols, have disappeared, and we do see an a vowel in there. Not connected with the first root consonant, but nevertheless there's an a vowel. So we'll just file that away for the time being. Now the masculine plural construct form, however, malchA, we do in fact see the patach vowel sign, which represents a short a vowel beneath the first consonant. And since schwa is silent, we do indeed have the first root consonant followed by a short a vowel, followed by the next two root consonants. And so apparently there is something to this analysis that melech may come from an earlier root malchA, or an earlier stem malchA. Now that's further confirmed when we look at my king, the masculine singular suffixed form with the first common singular pronominal suffix, my king, and we have the stem malchA again. The singular suffixed form with the second masculine singular pronominal suffix, meaning your king, malchA. Our king, malchenu. Your king, with the second masculine plural pronominal suffix, malchachem. Once again, there's a short a vowel following the first root consonant. And so what we determined in the last video is that the biblical Hebrew form melech appears to have derived from the stem malchA, m or mem, short a, lamed, kaf, malchA. The reason for the asterisk, by the way, is that this is a hypothetical form. This form does not exist in Hebrew. But from the evidence, we can establish that it did exist in an earlier form of Hebrew or in pre-Hebrew. Now let's look at the Aramaic evidence to see if Aramaic functions the same way. In biblical Hebrew, we do get the form melech. And so that is how the Tiberian Masoretes vocalize this form, meaning king, both in biblical Aramaic and biblical Hebrew. Now, we need to be clear that the vocalization system in biblical Aramaic is very, very different from biblical Hebrew, but this is one point of overlap or intersection. So melech in biblical Aramaic means king or a king. So we see the masculine singular absolute form melech in Ezra 6:12. And reading from the beginning of the verse, we have Velaha di shakin shme tama yigama kol melech, which means may the God, we're not going to translate the vav here as and, may the God who, may the God who, shakin, this is a pa'el, suffix conjugation, may the God who caused to dwell, related to the word Shekinah, Shekhinah, may the God who caused to dwell his name, shme. Remember that tzere he functions as a third masculine singular pronominal suffix. So we have, may the God who caused his name to dwell, tama, there. Yigama, may he overthrow, this is functioning as a subjunctive, and its third masculine singular, pa'el, may he overthrow kol melech, every king or any king, kol melech.
Now, if you haven't already, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Aramaic and Hebrew comprehensive tier. For only $12 a month, you get access to all of my Hebrew videos, all of my Aramaic videos, and any English text-based videos as well, wherein I'm discussing the exposition of the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, or of theological concepts in general. Your support helps me to continue doing what I'm doing to produce these in-depth videos for you. Thanks so much for considering becoming a paid member today.